We were on our way to Johannesburg, South Africa on Flight 157 that left from Atlanta, Georgia. We had been on the airplane for about 9 or 10 hours. We had just reached the tip of Africa and were flying over Dakar, Senegal, when the plane started to shake violently. My friend Sean and I were sitting together in the two exit seats near the middle of the plane. There was a lot of commotion with people getting scared, babies crying, and flight attendants screaming and pulling at their hair, telling everyone they were going to die. Suddenly, the lining of the airplane ceiling began to fall off. One flight attendant was walking down the aisle talking to herself. She had a large afro with dark skin and golden necklaces hanging off her neck, with bracelets dangling on her arms. "We all gonna die! We all gonna die on this plane!" She was screaming, "You sick motherfuckers! We all gonna die on this goddamn plane!" After a few minutes of listening to this woman's hysterics, the captain came on via the intercom. "Ladies and gentlemen, we are currently flying..." He leaves. "Ladies and gentlemen, we are currently flying over Dakar, Senegal, with lots of turbulence. It also looks as if one of the engines on the airplane blew up." The flight attendant, who had been screaming and yelling, her name was Londra, had settled down for a moment to listen to the captain. Tears were flowing down her eyes, and her makeup had been smeared all over her face. "Thank you for your attention, ladies and gentlemen. That's all the information I have for you right now." At this time, Alondra began screaming again. She opened the overhead bins and started throwing the luggage stored in them at passengers sitting nearby. A mother who was sitting nearby with her 3 younger children turned around to face Alondra. Politely, she asked if she might mind quieting down and acting more reserved, for she was scaring her children. Alondra's face turned red. Anger was rising in her body, floating in every blood vessel. "Don't you get it, you crazy-ass white bitch! We all gonna die! Tell your children to shut the hell up before I smack them!" The mother's jaw trembled and her face was pale white. She just nodded and turned around back to face the seat in front of her. At the same time, a flight attendant with skin as white as snow and soft as fur walked up to Alondra. Her name was Sparkles. Her eyes were red as apples and her hair was as black as tar. "Alondra, baby, you need to calm yourself down, girl. Why you acting like a damn fool?" Alondra started taking deep breaths, pulling out a small baggie filled with white powder. She placed them on her finger and inhaled deeply. She shook herself as if she had the chills, and her arms began to flail. "You're right, sister. You're right." Sean and I were just sitting there, crying, holding each other while we waited for the plane ride to end with a large explosion, and all of our bodies flying through the engines and being cut up. Again the captain came on. "Attention, ladies and gentlemen of Flight 157. We've been given the okay to do an emergency landing in Bamako, Mali. Fasten your seatbelts and we should be on the ground shortly." Sean and I looked at each other. A huge burden had been taken off our chests. Soon we would be on the ground, safe and able to get onto a better airplane that would take us to our destination. Just when we thought things were starting to get together, the psychotic Alondra had another mental episode. "I can't believe this," she moaned. "I don't believe this. The captain's lying to us, yo. We still gonna die. We all gonna burn in hell." Sprinting to the door to the aircraft, Alondra flung it open and jumped out, screaming and yelling. 30 minutes later, we were all safe on the ground. Everyone was safe, except Alondra, that is. Within the hour, we were boarded onto a new plane and continued on our way to our final destination. Things from that point on went relatively slow and were much more laid back than the flight to South Africa.